welcome to our Ask Us Anything Instagram Live. My name is Elenna Viotti. I'm one of the Senior Assistant Directors of Undergraduate Admissions here at MCPHS. I primarily work with students from New Hampshire, Vermont, and Middlesex County, Massachusetts. So thank you all for tuning in. And today I'm here with one of our current students, Coby. So would love for Coby to introduce himself as well.
Yeah, welcome in guys. My name is Coby. I'm a second year here at MCPHS, and I'm a part of the optometry pathway program. So you guys have any questions about the pathways, I can definitely answer those questions for you as well.
Awesome. And we are tuning in from our Fennel Hall, which is our showroom in our Fennel building on campus. This is one of our 3 undergraduate first and second year styles of residence halls, and Coby actually got to live in Fennel during his time at MCPHS so far, so has all the perspective of kind of life on campus, all of our residence halls. So hoping that, if you have any questions about what different styles of living we have, what that might look like, what are some of the amenities on our on-campus housing, we're more than happy to kind of answer that. And I'm going to be monitoring my phone as well for any questions at all that roll in during our time today. So please feel free to ask those questions, as you think of different things throughout our session today. But Coby, if you want to just kind of start with explaining what residence halls you've lived on during your time at MCPHS and a little bit about each of those styles.
Yeah, so again, my first year here, I lived in Fennel. So I actually lived on the 8th floor of this building, and I lived in a triple, so I had 2 other roommates. One of them was my neighbor from back home, so I got to know him pretty easily. The other one I actually met off of our Instagram account, which we run for some housing options and also just to meet some people that are coming to the school. But I lived in a triple, and the room was very nice. It obviously included the room, you have your bed, you have a desk, dresser, as well as a closet for each of you. And the room was very long for us. We actually had enough room in there to play soccer. Both my roommates love playing soccer, so they love doing that. But definitely in Fennel, you have a very big sense of community. I feel like being closer proximity with each other, it's very easy to make friends. I know I used to spend a lot of time outside my door, even just leaving my door open sometimes, just communicating with people on my floor. It was definitely very easy to make friends in here.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Great. And in addition to Fennel, we have suite style and apartment style as well. So our treehouse hall is our suite style living. It's about a 5-minute walk across the street, and that's a hall that some MCPHS as well as Mass College of Art and Design students live in. We're really lucky too with treehouse that on the bottom floor we have a smoothie acai bowl shop, so students are able to use their dining points there as well. And treehouse is predominantly 4-person suites, typically living room and bathrooms shared within that space as well. So students really love that style of housing too. And then Matricaria is apartment style, allowing students to also have kitchenettes in their space. And so they're typically on a abbreviated meal plan as a result, due to the fact that they're probably grocery shopping, making meals in their dorm, but also having that larger living space with a few different roommates, typically at 2 different bedrooms within both Matricaria and Treehouse as well. Anything you would add to those different styles?
For all the residence halls, we also have RAs on every single floor. The first day you move in, you're actually going to have their contact information. So we run a group chat with all the people on the floor. So you have direct communication with them at all times. And they're also very accessible too. If you ever just want to stop by and just talk with them. I know I was always in front of my RA, just chatting about like future classes I can take, just clubs that they're a part of, and also like just places to eat. It's very nice to just be able to communicate with them every single day, whenever you can, just be very social.
Absolutely. I see our first question asking about when you choose your roommate, at what point then would you know your assignment? So a little bit about that process. It's a great question. So for any incoming MCPHS student, how the process works is once committing to MCPHS, students are required to submit both a $500 enrollment deposit to secure their seat in their program, but then there's also a $300 housing deposit, and that really helps them lock in their seat in on-campus housing. And so May 1st is the national deposit deadline when both of those deposits would need to be submitted by. Typically, when a student submits both of those, within about a week of submitting that deposit, students receive access to their MCPHS credentials and email account. And then once they set up their credentials, they're able to then log into their housing portal, fill out their housing contract. And there's also a roommate pairing selection where if you already know another student who you'd like to live with, like Coby mentioned with his neighbor, or just kind of searching through, you can see other students who filled out the form. Then, you can indicate if you have a preference there. Many of our students do go, though, entirely random. They indicate their preferences on housing and their preferences there, but don't necessarily pick a roommate. And then to fully answer your question, usually not until midsummer is when those actual assignments come out. So typically around the July timeline is when Residence Life releases the official rooming assignments. But something I always like to stress when chatting with students and families is the order in which you submit those deposits as well as finalize all of your housing forms does really put you in a good spot for priority because you are ranking the preferences of style. So with traditional, suite, and apartment, there is a little bit of, a higher priority if you submit a deposit earlier rather than closer to that May 1st. So if you're really excited about suite style or apartment, get in your deposit as soon as possible, and that would always be my recommendation too. And I know with that roommate form, do you want to talk a little bit about how that works and how you can actually pick your roommate, what the form looks like as someone who's filled it out?
Yeah. So like Elenna was mentioning, there is a preference sheet that we send out. So when you are pairing up with a random roommate, it's not completely blind random, which I really enjoy. You're going to fill out preferences. So for me, I like my room to be organized and tidy. So if you're somebody who's like that as well, you can fill that into your preferences. If you like your room space to be more able to be focused, if you like studying towards the end of the day, I know they have like a nighttime option where you like your space to be able to be focused. So it's not very rowdy, it's very quiet. But even things like your hobbies. So if you're interested in like specific sports, if you're interested in clubs, even for me, I love cooking and I love baking, so I can put all that into my preference form. And when we pair someone up with you from the random selection, it's going to be someone who's very compatible with you. So it's not going to be someone who doesn't mesh well with you. The goal is that we're trying to pair you up with someone who we hope is going to be the best match for you possible. But we also do run an annual Instagram account, like I was mentioning. So if you want to, I know a lot of students will use that to either find new friends, kind of connect with people and their peers before they moved in their first day here. But I also know a lot of people use that platform to find roommates. So I posted my information on that platform that we run, and my roommate reached out to me, and I still live with him today. And he just noticed, hey, we both love playing tennis, we both love cooking and baking, we both share a lot of the same interests. Would you be interested in rooming together? And at the bottom of your application housing form, there's actually an option to invite people. So if you know that maybe like a friend of yours from back home, maybe someone you met off the Insta account is also coming to the school, you can directly invite them and they'll join your application process. So that way you guys can move in together as roommates. Yeah.
Awesome. So really, those preferences are taken into account. The Residence Life team does their very best to accommodate students. And the nice thing as well is freshman year housing does not determine the future years, right? So if you, during your freshman year, meet some really great friends who weren't initially your freshman year roommate for your second and third and fourth years in the program, or however long you're spending at MCPHS, that leaves a future opportunity to potentially live with those friends that you've met along the way. So definitely open options there too. I see some questions a little bit more about could we explain the amenities, more of these different styles. So I would say the main thing is traditional. It's really, for the most part, 2 or 3 beds depending on the number of students. Each student is getting their desk, their chair, their dresser, but you are using communal bathroom spaces on the hall. And I saw a question too about if you have individual bathrooms. It wouldn't be individual, but if you are in treehouse or matricaria, the suite and apartment style, you would have the ability to be sharing that bathroom only with your suite members. So if you're someone who is not as interested in having the communal bathroom experience, then I would recommend indicating treehouse or matricaria as choices 1 and 2 when you're filling out that form. Also, too, if requesting a roommate, something to keep in mind is the preferences that you pick do need to be in the same order as that preferred roommate in order for a Residence Life team to match you together. So it's something that you'll want to be on the same page with whoever you're planning to live with, and make sure that you choose all of the styles in the same order as well. Also seeing some questions come in about, housing costs and scholarships. So yes, housing, room and board is a separate cost in addition to tuition and fees. So typically housing is this current upcoming year, roughly around $22,000 for the full year housing for a fall and a spring program. There is for programs such as our nursing, our dental hygiene, and our medical imaging that have that summer component. That ends up being around $6,000 for summer room and board too. But it does kind of vary on the styles. So the exact numbers will usually be released closer to May timeline, and that's something where students get billed on a semester basis and are able to see the room and board charge on a per semester basis. But plenty of students also, are able to commute if living on campus isn't necessarily financially feasible, or, if they live local and choosing to opt to commute to campus. Now we're getting a bunch of questions, so I'm going to make sure I can get caught up here. Let's see.
I guess while I'm waiting here, Elenna also mentioned about commuting. I do have a few commuter friends of mine, so definitely commuting is an option, especially a big cost-saving measure. Not living on campus, that is a very good option if you can make it work. We also do offer discounted MBTA passes, so if you know you're going to be traveling quite a bit, I believe we send those out about a month and a half before you come here as a full-time student. So if you guys are interested in commuting and you think that's going to be the option for you, definitely stay on the look on that, and you can use that as an option as well.
I see another question just about scholarships more generally, so wanted to talk a little bit about this. Every single student who applies to MCPHS and is admitted is receiving an annual merit scholarship. So this is a purely academic scholarship that's typically based on your cumulative GPA upon applying. So for our incoming first-time college students who have just graduated high school, we would be looking at their cumulative full high school GPA when identifying their merit amount. And so these range based on that GPA, but every single admitted student is getting that merit, which is pretty wonderful. And that is also annual, so it's not something you would need to reapply for or submit an application for on a yearly basis, as long as students are maintaining at least a 2.5 GPA in their studies at MCPHS. That merit will renew for all years of their program, which is pretty significant. Even for our programs that are longer than a traditional 4-year bachelor's, that undergraduate merit is renewing as well. And I know Coby briefly touched upon his program right now, but I guess you want to speak a little bit to your optometry path, kind of, what your time at MCPHS academically has been so far.
Yeah, absolutely. So my program, like I was mentioning, is the optometry pathway. So it's actually a combined program, and I think that's very unique for our school. I don't think many colleges will actually do a combined program. So I do my undergraduate bachelor's and also my doctorate at the same time. So my undergrad is a little bit accelerated, so I do a 3-year undergrad here in Boston, and I also do get a campus switch too, which is nice for a little bit of a change of scenery. I go over to our Worcester campus for the next 4 years, where I do my doctorate for optometry. But I think what's really nice about the programs is that they phase in a lot of the clinicals and rotations for you. I know that being in the medical field, getting those positions to see patients can be very competitive, but they do it very easily where they actually phase you in. So your professional years, you're going to start off with a lot of classes, so it's going to be mainly classes. Starting your second and third year, they're slowly going to start teaching you about the procedures you may be doing for optometry, how to do a routine exam, and they're also going to be training you in our lab settings. But then in your third and fourth year, it's going to be mainly clinicals. So again, you're going to be rotating through, and they do a really good job transitioning you into that. I believe they're saying at the beginning of the second year and the end of your first year, you're actually going to be fully trained on the procedures for optometry and how to conduct a routine exam. So it's very nice to be able to have that comfort and that confidence in your ability so early on before you even start doing patient care.
Awesome. That's super helpful context. I see too we have a question about typical class times. I know the question is specific to PA, but kind of class times in general. Happy to chat a little bit about that. The college schedule is going to look probably very different than the high school schedule you're used to right now, where class might be continuously 7 to 2 or 8 to 3. For MCPHS, or really the college schedule in general, right, there's going to be larger gaps throughout your day. However, you as a college student are responsible for pacing yourself and finding time to do assignments, do labs. Typically a full-time MCPHS student, especially in their first year, is usually taking about 4 to 5 classes at a time as a full-time college student. Year 1 is a little bit more of some of those prerequisite coursework before they get to be major specific, usually beginning year 2. I would say the earliest class, and correct me if I'm wrong too, is typically around an 8 a.m. course offering. Sometimes labs can be later at night, so we are unique being a solely comprehensive healthcare university. Labs are a big component for students. Coby, if you want to explain kind of like what your schedule looks like typically, or maybe the earliest and the latest class you've had.
Yeah, no, definitely. My first year here, especially for PA, I know, and a lot of the other programs here, like Elenna was mentioning, it's going to be a lot of pre-rec classes. So you're going to be taking a biology, chemistry, maybe like an English class, and a few elective courses. But I think on average, I was taking maybe 2 to 3 classes a day. And that was probably the biggest transition, I think, and also pretty funny going from a 7 to 2, like Elenna was mentioning in high school, where I would have a class maybe at 11 and then I wouldn't have my next class until 3. So it was very interesting to have like a couple hour period where I could just either do have lunch, I could do some homework, but you can actually do that throughout the day. But I think the earliest class that I've ever had, again, was probably 8 a.m., which is my organic chemistry class right now, maybe a chemistry class as well usually. There's a morning section for that. And I think the latest class that I had, usually for labs, like Elenna was mentioning as well, the scheduled time ended at 6. Labs are a 3-hour time block, but the best part about the labs is that they are self-paced. So if you finish the lab early, then you can leave early as well. You're not required to stay later into the day. So for that 6 o'clock lab that ended at 6 o'clock, I think normally I was leaving maybe 5 o'clock, maybe even 4:30, depending on how fast the lab was going. So I don't think I've really ever stayed that late into the day.
Awesome, thank you. That's super helpful context. As the non-college student here, it's always helpful to hear kind of how things are done at MCPHS. I see another question about how the meal plan works. So every on-campus student, for the most part, is, especially as a first year, required to be on a meal plan. That meal plan consists both of meal swipes as well as dining dollars. So you'll see if you visit campus or already have, we have a variety of dining options, both on MCPHS's campus, but also we're a member of the Colleges of the Fenway Consortium. So some of our dining options are located on the other schools in the area as well, such as our main sit-down dining hall that's more buffet style. BD Dining Commons is over on Wentworth campus. So students have the variety to kind of pick and choose where they're eating meals. Maybe if they have only 30 minutes between a class, it makes more sense to go over to Kennedy, grab a quick slice of pizza, buy that per item and then be on their way. Whereas for dinner, I know BD is a more common dinner spot. Sit there, there's ice cream, dessert station, and kind of catch up with friends and even meet some friends across the different COF schools. And then we also have, like I mentioned, in Treehouse where the smoothie shop is located, or even in our own little convenience store on the main campus, right? There's ability to grab just a soda or a quick bite to eat. Something like that too. Anything I'm missing that's important there?
We also do have a second convenience store right by where BD is. It's called Tessie's. That one's a little bit more of a full convenience store. We also have Eats, which is downstairs in our main building. Both are very grab-and-go style. They have pre-prepared foods. They have like hot and cold subs. They have rice bowls and salad bowls. But with Tessie's, there's also like some ice cream, some more frozen foods if you want to get that. But they also do have some produce now that they sell as well.
Awesome. And, we're in such a vibrant part of the city, too. In addition to our many dining options, I think, it's always a really great perk to be able to explore Boston with friends and find different cuisines in the area. We're on the Green Line for public transit, so I know students are oftentimes taking the train to the Boston Common area, walking around, grabbing food in Chinatown, going to the North End for an Italian meal with family or friends. So we're very fortunate with location and how much amazing food there is in the city as well. I see another question about work-study opportunities. Coby works in our admissions office, so can definitely talk about work on campus. But in terms of the work-study process, this is something that many students will qualify for through filling out the FAFSA. Work study is a federal opportunity, typically about a $3,000 budget per year that a student can work on campus in many different departments and start earning that money. It's not something that gets directly deducted off of your bill, so it is actually issued more as like a paycheck on typically a weekly or bi-weekly basis. Students will get paid and then can choose whether they're using that money to pay for a future semester's bill, or more often I would see our students using it as their weekly spending money to go do all of the fun things we're talking about in the city, go grabbing coffee with friends. So it really depends. I know in admissions we have many work-study students as student ambassadors, but also offices such as the library on campus, marketing team, our Office of Student Access, our case office for advising have work-study students as well. So it's something where upon coming to campus, you could apply for a job like a typical job you might apply for and start earning that money towards your yearly work-study balance. I know you work in the admissions office too, so if you want to kind of talk about how that experience has been.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, I work in the admissions office, so I do a lot of the events like this where I get to talk to you guys face to face. So we're having an event this weekend too, so we have our Accepted Students Day coming up. So it's always really great to see the prospective students and be able to interact with them and be able to just guide them into their application process as a whole. But I do know that the kind of big worry about getting a job on campus for a lot of students is the work balance between the having a job and also having classes. While you are in a medical field, it is definitely very easy to be able to pace yourself out and to balance the work between your classes and also the job. I think my first year here, I really tried to front load a lot of the work. So my lectures usually were on Thursdays and Fridays. So I would do a lot of the homework assignments that I have every single week earlier in the week. And then from Friday to Sunday, I would have nothing to do, which was really nice. But I do think that a lot of the pacing is very up to personal preference. If you are someone who does not like to just kind of front load the work and wants to pace it out day to day, it's very, very easy to do that too as well.
Awesome. And wanted to just, I know Coby mentioned it briefly, but kind of plug some of our upcoming visit events. So we have 2 remaining admitted student days for any students who have already been accepted and are considering attending MCPHS next fall. So those will be on Saturday, March 28th and Sunday, April 19th. And you can sign up directly in your MCPHS portal or in the link in our MCPHS admissions bio. So definitely take a look at those different dates if that's something you'd like to visit us for. During Admitted Student Day, there's the option to do a full campus tour, residence hall tour, faculty from all of our different programs will be available. Student ambassadors are there to answer questions about student life. We have a club extracurricular fair going on, as well as representatives from admissions and financial aid to meet about, cost of attendance and any questions there. So really great opportunities there. And then for anyone who might be a junior in high school or just a prospective college student, whether a transfer or undergrad first-time student, we will be hosting one additional spring open house on Saturday, May 2nd. Our first open house last weekend was such a big success. We had over 100 students and families there. So we decided to add that second date too, just based on how much interest we've been having for campus visitors. So lots coming up. And then aside from these events, we offer campus tours Monday through Friday every week, as well as cardinal days for admitted students to come and actually shadow a current class. So those are offered every weekday aside from Wednesdays. So if any of those are of interest, look in your applicant portal to sign up, as well as looking in the links in our bio, and you can sign up for a visit there. We love to have on-campus visitors and answer all your questions. And then I think we have time for maybe 1 or 2 more questions. I see one here about AP credits. So this is typically case by case, so I won't go into too much detail, but general rule of thumb is we do accept a 4 or 5 on AP exams. How that would work is once the College Board has these scores available, typically not until about June, we would ask that you send those scores directly to the admissions office, and then we would be able to review on a case-by-case basis and see if this might make for a lighter load on a given semester or perhaps allow you to take an elective course in replace of one of the APs you've taken. For dual enrollment, we also take a look at any college or community college level courses students have taken in a high school setting and also review these on a case-by-case. In that case, we would just ask that the official university or college that you took those courses through, we would just need that official transcript from the school directly to be sent over to us. Let's see, we have another question. Cost of attendance, an easy way to see that. I would say find the link to schedule a meeting with your specific admissions counselor. That would be my biggest recommendation to connect individually via Zoom or in person. And we're always happy to set up a meeting and kind of review that with each student and their family. And then we have a wonderful financial aid team as well, who's always happy to answer some of those more specific questions about loans and payment plans and make sure that everything is, well squared away before August 1st when payments are due. Excellent. I think we have one more question that we'll be able to answer just about prerequisite courses for the DMS program. So DMS is a 3-year accelerated program, 36 months. There's no aside from, taking required courses to graduate with your high school diploma and if you've been accepted, there's no required coursework that you'd have to take before beginning. The DMS program, your first year would be a bit more generalized prerequisite, and then years 2 and 3 are when you actually specialize in the sonography curriculum and pick between either the general track or the echocardiography PAP. So that's a little bit how the DMS program is structured. If there's other questions, I know we're getting close to time here, but if there's other questions that students have, you're welcome to directly message our admissions page here, and we can answer those on a more case-by-case basis. You're also welcome to email your specific admissions counselor or our main admissions page, and we're happy to answer too. Any, last things that you wanted to add, Coby, or anything else? I know we're getting close to our 4:30 time, but
yeah, no, I would definitely say, again, I'm very biased with this, but I do really love Boston. I think that Boston being the city for the college campus is really nice to have. You can definitely feel that with just the high volume of colleges around the area, that the area Boston run was definitely very tailored to the Boston college life. I know that there's a lot of tea shops locally that just have a lot of chairs and a lot of lounge space that they know that students are going to be studying here with. We have access to the Boston Public Library, which again is a really great resource to be able to study in. And I think just having the Green Line right next door to us, we have our own stop that's right in front of the school, so travel is very accessible as well. So definitely Boston as a whole. You have the different activities you can do outside of maybe the weekend. You have restaurants you can go to, so it's really just an all-inclusive, a great college campus to be on.
Awesome, and definitely, we encourage you to come visit if you haven't yet. I know May 1st is fast approaching for everyone who's looking to enroll for the fall. So definitely, take a look at some of our visit options on our website or in your admissions portal, and hopefully you can come find a time to visit our campus. But thank you all for tuning in today. It was wonderful to answer all of your great questions. And we'll be doing more Instagram Lives to come. So if you didn't have a chance to tune in and you're viewing this at a later time, we always do these on a pretty monthly basis. So hopefully we'll catch you at a future session. Awesome. Thank you guys. Have a great rest of your day.